Hey, it's Seriously Sis Podcast. I'm Madison.
And I'm Julie.
And I'm Mike.
And this week we're going to be talking about stepping into leadership. The reason we wanted to talk through that is because I have two amazing leaders with me.
Oh, shucks.
And we got a little bit of experience under our belts. And we think that we need more leaders in the world and society and within the church. So we want to talk about, what does that look like? What did it look like for you guys when you stepped into leadership?
Well, with us having the military extraordinaire, I would love to hear
Extraordinaire.
I would love to hear his story.
Stepping into leadership, I honestly did it the wrong way. If we're gonna go start with like the military side first, I had some aspects that were good, right? But some people cultivated the fact that I was healthy, I was fit, I was fast, I could do the hard stuff, right? So I had the outward appearance of it. But when I stepped into leadership, I just knew those things. I was like, oh man, because I'm fast, I'm a great leader. So I don't got to do the administrative side of the things. And those at times are more important because the administrative side was developing other leaders. The me looking good was just developing myself. So it took me a little bit to understand that. And once I did get to that point of understanding that my ability to lead is really going to be measured by my ability to create leaders underneath me that can surpass me. Or if I can't be there to do it or something happened, that they could step in immediately and fill that role without, without hesitation.
Right.
And so, but in the church, that's navigating some different waters. I would definitely say.
I bet, because the church and the army is two very different
Just a little bit.
environments.
Just a
They
little
do
bit.
not speak the same lingo. I think as a leader, you have to adapt your ability to speak to people in any environment. Look at Jesus. When he met people where they're at, when he spoke to them, he was still himself, right? He didn't change who he was and what he was about. However, his tone and how he spoke to people definitely changed. Like even when people would just be harassing people, like, oh, they're sick, they're deathly looking, they're ill, or this woman's filthy. He met them where they're at. It's like, really? No, that's a daughter right there. He spoke to them in a way, but he did still correct things, right? I think as leaders, we I would say have been pretty good at how we speak to each other in a way, but it's still like a softness, but it's a direct softness. Right. I had to learn that because I used to not be direct and soft. It was just direct and demanding.
Yeah. You tell us, Miss Corporate World Business Lady.
It's funny. He said he had to learn that. I often tell people all the time, when I'm bringing up and teaching new leaders, a good leader is a learner. No one just is a great leader. It just doesn't happen like that. You may be born with leadership capabilities and you may have that, but a great leader is taught. You learn to be a great leader. Man, I think that I had some of those natural leadership capabilities from a young age, because I'm one of 13. I was leading my little siblings and leading my house, and helping do those things. My mom really instilled leadership in me. She made me take on leadership tasks. That's what we do with our oldest. I used to tell her, I say, hey, I want X, Y, and Z done. These are your people. Go get it done. And she'd be like, oh my gosh. But you know what? I'm teaching you something. I'm teaching you how to lead. And it starts somewhere. And that's where it started for me. But he's exactly right that it wasn't for me. It wasn't like I was a leader because I learned how to lead, but I was a dictator when I first started. Man, I was mean as heck. Don't play with me. I'm just letting you know. I was that person every day of the week. And it actually I was working under a leader in Houston, and I remember he had said to me, he was like, Madison, when it comes to getting the task done, the job done, and getting it done well, you do great. When it comes to hitting the number, you do it amazing, but I don't think your people like you. And I thought, who cares? I really was like, and I'll replace them. Let's give me another one. I can get you a new person real quick. Um, and I think that was a turning point for me because I had to sit and I had to think about it. And um, I truly didn't care if people liked me
Mm-hmm.
as a leader. I didn't care. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, because I can get the job done, I can hire someone else in their spot.
Right.
I had to learn that being likable is one of your strongest qualities you can have as a leader. Because if your team likes you, if people like you, the right people, right? The wrong people will always not like you.
Right.
But if they do like you, um, there's a level of humility and humbleness that you're bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't
Yeah.
all about you all the
Hmm.
time.
Yeah. I think for me, stepping into leadership has just been chasing me, and I guess I didn't run fast enough because I wasn't looking for it. Um, I think I stepped into leadership positions because of circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am the kind of person who would prefer to be in the background. I know you can't tell because I'm on the worship team, but like day to day, I don't like attention. I'm kind of a recluse.
Right.
Um, but I have been fortunate enough to sit under good leadership. And you said something about a good leader is someone who learns. I'm a person who enjoys learning, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm an observant person, right? And so there are little things that I've picked up just from childhood to college to the different experiences that I've had that come back to my memory and that I use in particular situations. Case in point, when I was a kid, my mom used to give us chores like parents do. And I remember one time she said to me, because I didn't do it the way she wanted me to do it, I remember she said to me, your boss is only going to ever ask you to do something one time. When they have to ask you to do it twice, they're going to replace you. And I was probably 10 when she said that to me.
Dang. She ain't playing.
She wasn't playing. But I never forgot that. And so I think to be a good leader is to be able first to pick up on wisdom from good leaders,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then try to model that. And there's a scripture that says that a student is never better than his master, but he can become like his master.
Mm.
And for me, just in the different situations that I've been in, I've gotten to see people have that servant leadership heart. I've gotten to see good leaders and I've gotten to see bad leaders. And in looking at both environments, as I began to just step into things, different jobs, or, I tried to glean from what I saw. And when you are found to be trustworthy and faithful in little, the Lord will give you more. And so, again, I say all that to say I was not necessarily looking for leadership positions or anything like that, but because I was fortunate enough to study under good leaders, and then I guess I did a good job at the little, the Lord blessed me with more,
Yeah.
and I just walked in it, and I've gotten to benefit from that. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just drudgery going through all these things. I've benefited a lot in the doors that opened, but it really was just because I got to sit under really good leaders.
Mm.
Yeah. That's good. I would agree. As you get older, you look back at those things that you did that really kind of made you a bad leader.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that you try to let people know, like, hey, I can tell you all the things that I did that prevented me from developing people, developing good relationships. I was developing a reputation that I thought was good, but in turn it was not, right? I had a sergeant major one time, phenomenal guy, very, very great leader. He told me one time, he's like, hey, you want to know how to be a great platoon sergeant and a great first sergeant? He said, be friendly, but don't always be a friend. It's like you don't have to approach every situation by dropping the hammer. Sometimes you got to develop somebody through what they're doing, or they're just going to keep doing the wrong thing, right? Uh, at times people get lost off the track that they're on. They lose focus, or the idle mind takes into place, and people start doing silly things in the workplace. I know we've seen it before, but he's like sometimes you just got to help them repurpose their mindset and get them back on track. And he's like, however, there will be people that will always challenge you. But at the end of the day, how you react to them, others are going to see that. And you got to develop those others to be able to handle those hard situations. Because whether it's the military in your career, in the careers you've had, And even in the church, the mission's always going to go on. Like, for us, it's we're sharing the gospels.
Right.
We're going out, we're making disciples. If it's worship team stuff, we're trying to develop worship leaders, not just musicians and vocalists, right? Um, so how we present ourselves, it has to be authentic. If you're capable of being a servant first,
Mm.
it's going to be natural.
Mm.
It shouldn't be, I have to force myself to humility to serve with other people or serve in another department. Because I'm a firm believer that if you see other leaders that look at the body of Christ and they view every position as equal, that the right foot is just as important as the left hand, the head is just as important as the pinky, right? So anybody that views that, they're like, my position is not above anybody else. We're all doing the work. I just may be up front and
Right.
seen more, right?
Mhm.
But I know everybody else is just as valuable at doing this as I am. But
Mm. I didn't know you were going to say the head and the pinky. I was thinking it was going to go a different direction, but
I mean,
okay.
listen, I know you don't use your pinky finger that often when you play guitar, so I was meeting you where
Wow,
you're at.
shots fired.
Literally.
Shots fired.
Just saying
You know,
crazy,
you
crazy things.
you said something and it made me think about, developing as a leader because we've all been submitted to people at times in our lives. We're still submitted to people now. Um, it's I don't want to say it's easy to become a good leader, but when you think about the people that you were under and how they treated you
Yeah.
and how it felt, whether it developed you or not, that's something I try to think about when I'm leading other people. Is because again, I've experienced bad leadership, I've experienced good leadership, and I remember what that feels like.
Mm.
I'm not saying that we always are concerned with every feeling everyone ever has,
Yeah.
but building up your people is important.
Yeah.
Establishing value in them is important and genuine value, not just
Right.
gassing people for the
Yeah.
sake of gassing
Surface
people.
value. Yeah.
But establishing all those things, I remember what that felt like when somebody trusted me to do something. I'm like,
Right.
me? You trust me with this?
Yeah.
And it made me want to rise to the occasion, right? And so in leadership, I want people to know I really believe that you can do this. You wouldn't
Right.
be here doing this thing. I wouldn't be trusting it to you if I didn't think that you could do it. So, keeping in mind just the kind of leadership you've been under and what you would do differently, what you would do the same, has been something I've tried to incorporate into my own because I've been fortunate enough to have servant leaders, leaders who, you know, they're running the ship, but their people are helping to facilitate the small details, right? And then when they get out front, when something is successful, they turn around and say, "Hey, my team helped me do this," right? And that builds up a loyalty within your team that then they want to support you in things. I think sometimes people get into leadership and they think I'm here, I'm at the top. And
Mm.
so now, it's all about me. All the glory is mine. Pat me on the back. I did all of this. When really in leadership, what that means is you get to shoulder the responsibility, which usually, is people's opinions, which a lot of times is not good. But you get to shoulder the responsibility and take all the flack while other people get the accolades and all
All
those
the
other
praise.
things.
Mm.
And so understanding that leadership is not about propping myself up but pushing the mission forward, I think is key for anybody who wants to be in a leadership position, to know what you're getting into before you get into it, because it's not about you. Like, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, you're probably last on that list of who it's about.
Exactly. What you just described there is knowing the difference between being in charge and being a leader, right? If somebody that's acting in charge, and you see it all the time, like new leaders that have no idea what they're doing, maybe they just got thrown into the position, or because of their talents they got put there, and now their character's really showing that they don't have the other capabilities of maintaining a rhythm in that leadership position, so they take charge of everything, right?
Mhm.
And it takes some time to learn, like, okay, if I'm going to be a leader, I have to empower other people to help me be successful, because you can't do everything. right? God didn't call us into these positions to be like, hey, you're a one-man army, you're going to do it. It's like, you're not Jesus, right? You are going to get tired, you're going to get grumpy, somebody's going to say the wrong thing, and then you're going to say the wrong thing because you've just been taking on all the stressors yourself and not allowing other people to develop those situations with you. uh, Another great leader that I'm currently still working with right now had suggested a book. This was a couple years ago. I believe it was called A Tale of Three Kings. And he's like, read that book, because it's like oftentimes people think they're a great leader until they start reading this and they see some of the similarities of what the great leaders in this book were calling themselves, but in turn they were not. They were actually failing dramatically. So that was a great book to dive into, but that goes with constantly reading, constantly learning and developing yourself, because the moment you sit back and be like, I've made it, I have nothing else to learn, God's going to be like, all right, here's a new situation. I'm going to prove to you that you have not made it. You got this far, but there's always something different that's going to happen, that's going to challenge you as a leader, as a person. And people are going to see how you react and what you do. And so I know you get different, I hear the stories from your work all the time of the different things that go on and that you have to navigate. I would say, being a good leader in the church and in the work, do you guys think you have to treat them differently?
Medicine?
Well, there's a couple things I want to touch on before I answer that question. I want to touch on what you said. It's something I'm really passionate about. Good leaders are developing people. Good leaders are developing people. I tell my people all the time, who's your bench? Who are you pouring into? Who are you developing? And I can say that, throughout my leadership journey, I have such a good bench of leaders. And I can see the breadcrumbs of them making other leaders. And if you're in a leadership position and there's no one around you you're pouring into and developing, you might just be a manager. I'm just letting you know. I tell people this all the time. You might just be a manager, because who are you going to replace yourself with? You should always have someone you're bringing in to replace yourself. And if you aren't, again, you may not be a leader.
Right.
And then something you brought up was character. And I know me and you were talking about this the other day. Character, you cannot be a leader and lack character.
Yeah.
You just cannot. You can lack skills. You can lack so many things and be a leader. But if you are not a person of character, you will never be a good leader, and you won't lead people well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to say that, because
No,
when you said character, I was
stuff.
like, the other day we were having a whole conversation, and I said, I can teach anyone to be a good leader. I can teach you. I can sit down with you. I can work with you. If you lack integrity and character, I can't teach you. I can't help you. I can't help you care about people.
But God will throw stuff in your way to help you develop that character. You just got to be able to see it and actually act accordingly. Let it train you. And a lot of times, we see it. Young leaders come in and they're gung ho. They're hitting it hard. They're hitting the ground sprinting, and it's like, man, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. You have a lifelong of just obstacles, opportunities, and just different things that are going to come at you, to where, as a leader, if you're sprinting to all of them, you're going to exhaust yourself.
And I can understand it to an extent, though. Like with the younger people who don't have any experience, they do feel like they have something to prove. So naturally, when they feel like they have something to prove, they overcompensate. It's an overcompensation, and they're waiting for those accolades. That's what the only thing that's telling them. If someone's not verbally saying, "Mike, good job today.
Yeah.
I like the way you led Julia." If he's not getting that communication, the only thing he's going to do is keep pushing until he can get those accolades. Because unfortunately, as human and just as people, we need those accolades to know we're doing a good job.
They're good.
Otherwise, we're still trying to, okay, well, maybe I didn't get that. Maybe I need to switch this or switch that. That's important. So to an extent, a young leader doesn't make you a bad leader.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just makes you untrained.
But it's what senior leaders often tell us. I'm sure you guys have heard it too. I've heard it all throughout my military career. I've heard it in the church now too. It's like, hey, do well, try hard, don't be afraid to fail. Failure doesn't mean the end of your ability to lead. It means that you have something you can learn from, because not everything you're going to win at. So allowing young leaders to fail early on so they learn how to adapt and change and grow through it, and they don't see it as like, man, I'm a terrible leader. I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, nah, you just failed at that one thing. You did all these other things. Don't let this one thing be the end all be all.
Mhm.
Like, you just need to reassess and try it different, or it may be a thing that you just have to let go. Maybe that's not an area that you're going to lead in, but you're going to be successful over here.
Mhm.
um, Having a mentor as a leader,
Mhm.
Mm.
and somebody that you can look up to, somebody that is doing it well, that
Mhm.
can pour into you. And then I know for me in BFC, I have an accountability partner also. It's another guy that I could be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm doing. Or he calls me up and be like, hey, you said this, maybe let's try it this way.
Mhm.
It's like, he's like, I see what you're going for, but maybe who we have available right now might not fit for that.
Mhm.
But it's just somebody I know that can speak to me in a way that I'm going to hear it. Right?
Mhm.
They're close enough to me. Um, I had a leader the other day tell me something, and he was like, "It's gonna be a little hard. I love you. I love you a lot. I'm gonna say something a little hard." And he asked me like, "Hey, was at the end of the conversation? He was like, was that rough? Do I need to apologize? Like, I'm not trying to offend you." I was like, "No, actually, if you call me brother and you love me and you don't correct me, I can't believe that you love me."
Mhm.
You know what I mean? As a leader, we have to be able to receive that
Mhm.
criticism,
Yeah.
and it's gonna happen. Now, understand that some of the criticism you get is just a personality check, because not everybody has the same type of charisma as I have. How I lead may not be how my wife enjoys it, but there's just a difference of personality. If the personality difference isn't something that is in sin or is against the Bible, then it's just a thing you personally don't get along with. So as a leader, guess what you got to do? Just let it go.
Right. And so I was going to bring that up, that to be a good leader, you have to have humility.
Yeah.
Humility to receive correction, um, but also humility to understand that you don't do everything. Like, you can't do everything, and there's a reason why you have a team. And so when you are like, I'm a leader, I'm facilitating, I'm helping to drive this bus, right? But I need X, Y, and Z to get done. Um, I don't know how to, I might know how to do A through E, but I don't know how to do F through Z. That's why I
Yeah.
have these other people here. And sometimes I feel like leaders who end up being poor leaders don't want it to ever look like they don't know how to do something.
Right.
And they don't want it to look like you said, build up your replacement. Some people hear that and think, I'm going to be replaced. I don't want to
Mhm.
do that.
Yeah.
But humility will teach you that if you build your people up in the capacity in which uh, they're holding, then you can build up the thing that you're doing to a level that you would never be able to do it before, because there's 24 hours in the day and there's 7 days in the week, and you can't do everybody's job.
Right.
So humility to be able to receive correction, humility to understand you can't do everything, and to trust your team, and humility to allow your team to be able to speak to you if you do something that offends them.
Yeah. Man, let me say this. If Jesus was humble enough to tell his disciples to follow him, to teach them how to do this, when at any given moment he could be like, boom, everybody knows the gospel right now.
Mm.
Boom, everybody understands all of it right now. I give you full knowledge, right? But he was like, you know what? I want to build relationships. I don't just want to hit an easy button, right? He was humble enough to come down, develop relationships, build people, elevate them up, see them where they're at, and teach them to be better leaders, and still continue on knowing that at the end of his life, it was going to be brutal, right? Um, we got to adopt that same mindset. Like, we may know a lot about something, we may be able to do it much easier, but at the end of the day, it's not about us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It's about what we can do with the spirit inside of us to develop those people around us.
Right.
Because if the easy button was there, everybody would be hitting the easy button every morning. I'm tired. Bink, I got enough rest. Oh, you know what? This person irritates me at work. Boom,
They're
mute
gone.
button. They don't work here no more, right? They've been replaced with AI. I got a new AI partner that gives me high fives all day. But that, how exhausting would it be to just here in America, we would be like, oh, I got to hit the easy button again. I'm like, bro, you got an easy button and now you're complaining about the easy button.
There's levels to the laziness, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yes.
I,
But
I
it's just so true.
I think about like what you were saying about the replacement thing. And I have just this week I had someone that I got to see them from entry level, and they've gone through different management positions and positions and positions. And the position I'm in, I had the ability to help my boss find a new leader for a team. And I went to him. I said, hey, I think you need to, this is the one for you. And it was such this is such, like, as a leader, something that I just was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the best feeling in the world, because I got to bring him into a spot that he'd been working hard for. He wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he interviewed with my boss and my boss's boss.
Mm.
And my boss came to me and she said, hey, my boss's boss said he is gonna do incredible things in this company.
Mm-hmm.
He's phenomenal. And for me, seeing him from here to where he's at, and I called him on the phone. I was talking to him. Of course, I didn't tell him that, but he said, I was just talking to him about the new team and dynamics and stuff. He said, Madison, I got this. You taught me everything I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you're right.
But see, that
You're
goes
right.
back to that character that you were talking about. Some people will never develop people to get to that place because they're more concerned about themselves and their elevation and how
Mm.
they look. They won't develop people to get to that place, because the truth is that a lot of times we're trying to self preserve, like we're trying to
Right.
preserve ourselves, preserve our positions. We don't want competition, anything like that. And I think that goes back to that point that you made about character. If you have character. Now, I'm not saying that you can't learn. I'm not saying that life won't teach you, because life's.
Mm.
But if you don't have good character, it's very hard to become a good leader.
Right.
Because to your point, you can skill train and do all the things, but at some point you had to make the decision to say, I'm going to pour into him.
Right.
Right? You could have withheld that, and then he may not have grown to be in this position to be able to step into this new arena. And so that's why, I always talk about the heart. The heart is so important. Your character, your humility, why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
Are you trying to grow something because you want to see the thing grow? Or are you trying to grow something because you want people to applaud you? And if it's the latter, that's never going to make for a good leader.
If you're concerned about the people around you stepping into where you're at, do your job and do it well.
Right.
Yeah.
Do your job and do it well. And let the people around you also grow.
Mhm.
I always tell people, when you leave a position, you leave a spot, you leave a church, wherever you're at leading, if everything that you built falls apart when you walk out, you didn't do a good job. You didn't train anyone. You didn't teach anyone to step into your
Yeah.
spot.
Mhm.
And you use that position to give you value.
Right.
Your position is not your value.
Mhm.
Like, we make that mistake all the time as leaders. There's a lot of times people introduce themselves, and they introduce themselves as their job,
Their title.
right?
Yeah.
Their title and what they do, right?
Yes, I
That's
am
not
the
your
prophet,
value.
so and so, apostle, so and so of the
Yeah.
third degree.
Yep.
Could you
am
imagine if
bad with that.
Jesus just walked around and he's like, I'm Jesus, the Messiah. I came to save you.
He would be the only one who would have the right to do so.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only one.
I am God.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I would throughout my military career, I always kind of got to a point to but I think I've had this my entire life. I never had that, if I saw somebody famous, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm melting. That's a famous person. I'm within 12 feet of them. They might look this way. I've never had that. In the Army, when I would see high ranking officers, 1 stars, 2-star generals, and whatnot, I'm just like, Yeah, it's another guy. Like, what do you mean? It's another lady. Okay, it's another human being.
Right.
Same thing in the church. I've been trying to get better at it because I do understand. And throughout my military career, I've always understand there's a time and place for titles. There's a time and place when you posture yourself differently when you're speaking to
Sure. Of
somebody.
course.
Yeah.
Um, Say if the conversation comes in and you're saying like, hey, we got to have a serious conversation. Okay, I'm going to sit up. I'm going to let you know I'm listening. I'm aware. Um, but if it's just us and we're being normal people, I've always just been Mike. Like if we're in the office and I'm talking to even with my soldiers, I'm like, hey, you will understand when you need to call me by my rank and title,
Mhm.
right? You will know.
Mhm.
I was like, but if it's just us, nobody's around, we can use our real names.
Mhm.
Like if we have developed a relationship well enough that I respect you, you respect me enough, we're gonna do the hard missions together. You're not gonna whine and fight about the directions or commands you've been given. You're just gonna execute. There's no issue there, right?
Mhm.
We can be human. We could be humble.
Mhm.
But I've always been bad about like even our senior pastor for a lot of time. It would just be like, hey, what's going on? Just first name like stuff, and then I'm like, and then I've often wondered, I'm like, I wonder if that bothers him when he just had 5 people just walk by and call him Pastor so and so, hey senior pastor, hey Pastor so and so, and I'm like, and I'm just like, hey, what's up?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
but it's just because I know I respect your position, I respect your ability to lead, but I also know like we're just human, right? We don't have to live by our titles. However, I think you brought this up earlier when we were talking before we started recording is if you are in a leadership position, God does hold you to a standard because He knows you're leading people,
Right.
right? And I think for me, I don't do the whole names and titles, all things, because I'm not trying to put you on a pedestal. I just try to let people know, like, hey, I respect you as a leader, but you don't gotta put the show on in front of me.
Mhm.
Like you can just be like, hey, Mike, will you get this done? And I'm like, yeah, brother, I'll knock it out right now. Like I'll go do it. I got no issue. Um, because at times as leaders when the title starts to get said so much sometimes you feel like that you have to live up to that title,
Mhm.
and like you were saying earlier, like your position isn't who you are.
Mm.
You're leading well there, you're doing great there, but that doesn't mean you're just that position, because guess what, I guarantee everything that I've done in my life, right, leadership wise, there's probably 1,000 other guys that could have came in and been a better squad leader, platoon sergeant, better first sergeant, a better section sergeant. Like there's so many people that could have done it way better than I did,
Mhm.
right? But that doesn't bother me.
Mhm.
I was doing it, I was learning, I was also prepared and understanding that like somebody else needs to come in and do this better.
Mhm.
I just need to make sure the foundation I'm leaving behind, like you were saying, the foundation needs to be set in a place to where they can pick up the pieces and keep going,
Mhm.
right? If you're just leaving them a trash can and they're like, okay, all right, man, thanks for leaving me your closet full of skeletons, all the relationships that I have to repair and rebuild, all the administrative stuff that has to be redone. So now I'm going to spend 90 days fixing all the issues before I can even start pushing forward with the mission.
Mhm.
Leave something behind, like legacies that we're talking about in the church,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to make a huge impactful legacy, but just leave something behind well enough that if somebody picked it up and carried it forward, that they can just build on it and not have to repair it.
Yeah.
Mm.
You asked a question about the church versus the world, and I think that answer will be different if we're talking about somebody who is in the world and
Yeah.
of the world. But for us, our leadership shouldn't change whether we're in the church or we're in our, just everyday, day to day, because those same characteristics, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Leadership is the Lord's, it's His
Yeah.
idea. Like good leadership is it's His idea. And so those characteristics don't change. They really are biblical concepts like servanthood,
Yeah.
sacrifice,
Right.
um, humility are all biblical concepts. And so if you are doing that, which makes you a good leader, whether you're doing it in the church or you're doing it in the world, it should be the same thing. Now, the world has different motivations,
Yeah.
but we don't have to operate in that way. So I think that that's why, if you are a believer and you are a good leader in the church, you will be a good leader somewhere else because you
Right.
have those same characteristics. So I just wanted to not forget
Yeah.
about your
No,
question
no.
that you asked.
Yeah.
But my last thing that I want to say about this is one thing that I learned that I keep in my mind about being a good leader is, and this is to your point, is that I, two things. Anytime that I work a job, whatever it is, um, my goal is always to leave the job whenever that time comes in a better position than I found it.
Mm.
And I learned this from my dad that I want my ceiling to be the next person's floor. So they don't have to reinvent the wheel when they come in here. Processes are already in place, procedures are in place, all those things. If I have to step out for whatever reason, someone can come in and do it. If that happens, then I know that I've done my job. If I've prepared someone, I know that I've done my job. If it continues to grow after it's no longer dependent upon me, I know that I've done my job. And so, my dad said that to his kids. He was like, in terms of his walk, he was like, where I get in my walk with the Lord, whatever my ceiling is, I want that to be my kid's floor. I will feel like I failed you as a father if you go back through all the things that I've already been through, that you've watched me go through, and that you've watched me learn. Learn from that, and I'm going to pour that into you. And so that's the approach that I try to take with the work that I do. Is I want my ceiling, whatever that is, to be the next person's floor.
Mm.
Mhm. I like that. I like that. One thing I've always loved saying, and I've heard a lot in the army, was don't get found out when it counts. Meaning, like, if you can't do it, don't let it be the time that everybody finds out that you can't do it when we're downrange.
Mm.
Like, if you're not good at something, don't be afraid to just humble yourself, to the point of like, hey, you assign me this task and I have no idea where to start, how to start, or what to do. Um, it's more respectable just show that humility and be like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. If you show me, at least help me get started, I think I'll be able to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I may ask a few more questions along the way. So yeah, just don't get found out when it counts, meaning whatever position you're in the church or wherever you're at work, ask questions. Great leaders would rather you ask them questions than to show up
Mm.
30, 60 days later with zero product or failed product or, uh, a completely just destroyed situation. Now they have to figure out how to fix it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the other thing is being a leader is phenomenal. It's exhausting, but don't forget God called us to lead and disciple people from the overflow.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus went and fasted and he spent time with the Lord to, re-energize. Do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Take breaks, take vacations, live your life, not just constantly serving to the point that you're exhausted. Take a step back.
Turn your phone off.
Yeah, turn your phone off, both phones, work
Mm-hmm.
phone and personal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just get to a point to
Y'all are
where
always attacking me, I swear.
it's you and the Lord. Just get to a point to where it's you and the Lord. And the best way to do that is if you've empowered the leaders around you and below you enough that when you're gone, they can jump in and it just keeps going on smoothly. Perfect. Because guess what? Now you guys can rotate and fast and pray, spend time with just you and God. Come back and you're like, guys, guess what? I'm working at 210 right now. All right. 210%.
Drop the wisdom on us, Maddie.
So I think to conclude this TED Talk, um, good leaders duplicate. Make sure that you're pouring into someone, but also are consistent learners. If there's something that you don't do well, if you lack character, get around someone who has character. If you don't know how to lead young people, get around someone who leads young people. You don't know how to deal with old people? Guess what? Get around people who can deal with old people. But put yourself around the people that are going to elevate whatever it is you're lacking. But make sure that you're duplicating the people beneath you. You don't have to hold everything this close because you're going to lose something. I just know from a business standpoint, at some point, I hope the people beneath me exceed me because I got to go. I'm tired sometimes, listen, I don't want to do this all my whole life, right? We're not trying to do this our whole life. At some point, someone has to step into that space.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do the work now on yourself. So when they go to step in, they can continue, to your point.
Mhm.
And your point. You both said the same thing pretty much.
You're welcome.
I think that's good. I think that, yeah, like all of those things, humility, ever learning, um, teamwork, make for good leaders.
Learn how to talk to people.
Learn how to
Oh, if
talk.
you could do anything as a leader,
Yeah.
learn how to speak to people. One thing that I always do is I started at a young age, I started praying, Lord, give me a heart for people.
Mhm.
Give me a heart for people. Give me a heart for people. Give me a heart for people. That way, when I meet people, not everyone has my strength. Not everyone has what I've gone through in life and can handle everything. I have to be empathetic to them and I have to talk to them with grace.
Right.
Even when I think they don't deserve it,
Hmm.
which is a lot of the time. They don't deserve it,
Mhm.
but I'm still going to do it.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Because we didn't deserve it.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
right.
So I'm done.
All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Until next time, guys.